Hello everyone, this is the finale of What If Naruto Was in Rosario Vampire, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. They were staying in one of the most expensive suites in the city of Nagamo, on the coast about 1,000 miles from the Leaf Village. She was staring out at the ocean trying to calm her fearful heart. She was filled with a sense of dread and couldn't honestly explain why. The previous 2 years she and her sister had been ordered to come here around this same time and enjoy a holiday by the sea. Her sister had been happy just at the chance to have a week's worth of unsupervised free time. But she couldn't help but wonder at the uncharacteristic generosity of father. She was certain there was a reason why he wanted both of his daughters out of the village on Naruto-kun's birthday. Nichan, Hanabi called. Let's go down to dinner, and then let's go to one of the casinos. Since I have access to the family accounts, we have plenty of money to play with. Hinata forced a relaxed smile on her face and told herself she was being silly. There was no reason to be fearful, this was just a little holiday after all. She turned to face her little sister and seemed in her usual good humor. Don't lose too much money or father may be upset with us. Of course I won't, Hanabi answered. Now let's go. The two daughters of the Hyuga clan headed downstairs to enjoy a carefree evening. XXXXXXXXXXX. It had happened exactly as she'd been told it would. She'd been on a mission in grass country and had deserted her team while on watch. She'd come to the entrance of a tunnel and waited. Sure enough, at the appointed time a set of lights had appeared from within the tunnel and this huge yellow monstrosity had exited. As a method of taking her to another world, she thought the thing looked dubious. Dubious or not, she had still climbed aboard. She sat down in one of the empty seats without a word. The strange man who seemed to be in control of this device looked back at her with a grin. You are Tayuya. I am, she answered curtly. Is this your first time to Yukai Academy? Wherever it is we're going, it's my first time. The message had only told her she was being extracted. It hadn't mentioned any destination. Well then, he said gleefully. I think I should just warn you, Yukai Academy can be a very scary place. She laughed. Don't worry, I'm used to scary places. Living with the Inuzukas the last few years had not been too bad. But after living with vampires as a snack and serving under an insane and bloodthirsty Sannin, she doubted anything else could really scare her. The big contraption turned itself around and went back into the tunnel. As it traveled, they were surrounded by strange lights. The bizarre sight made her just a little nervous, but she told herself to calm down and relax. After a longer journey than she'd expected, they exited the tunnel of lights and came out in an almost pitch-black place. They pulled up to what looked like a scarecrow and came to a stop. This is your destination, please be careful exiting the bus. He opened up the door. This is it. She looked out but saw nothing at all but darkness. The academy itself is a short walk from here. Don't worry, someone will be here to show you the way. Now please exit the bus. She didn't like it, but there wasn't a real choice. She stepped off into the darkened landscape. The door shut behind her and the yellow creation pulled away and left. Hello Tayuya, a familiar voice called to her. She turned in the direction of the voice but could still see nothing. Naruto-sama. She heard him chuckling and his footsteps coming nearer. I've told you before, just plain Naruto will do. Thanks for sending me the book, I found it interesting. He finally came close enough for her to see him. He was in his vampiric form and dressed in loose-fitting white robes. I thought you might, Tayuya said. That's a new look for you. I don't believe I've ever seen you in white. He shrugged. I'm not a ninja anymore, speaking of which neither are you. You have served me well Tayuya, you have been an excellent spy. She bowed slightly to him. I am very glad to hear that. I am just happy to have served. He came up to her and smiled. You have, and I am ready to give you what I promised. Are you prepared to become a vampire? She nodded eagerly. Yes. She stepped back though when she saw him pull out a kunai. Naruto gave her an amused look. Relax, this is for me not for you. He sd open his wrist and let his blood flow out. Drink as much as you can as fast as you can. You want me to drink your blood? It's the only sure way to become a vampire. I could inject my blood into you if you prefer, but then the odds are only 1 in 3 of your turning. It might also kill you or turn you into a mindless king machine called a ghoul, in which case I would have to destroy you. Now drink. She hesitated for just a second, but finally put her mouth his wound. She pressed her lips around the torn skin and began to suck the hot salty blood. She used her tongue to lap it up and swallow it down her tea. It felt sickening and wrong, but she shut her eyes and sucked, trying to imagine it was something else. She suddenly stopped as she felt a stabbing pain in the pit of her stomach. She let go of him and dropped to her knees, clutching her sides. As a ninja she'd been wounded many times, but this felt worse than anything she could imagine. It felt like something inside was spinning up her guts. Who hurts? She called out. Naruto looked down sympathetically. Don't worry, it's normal. Your body is being transformed from the inside out into a brand new life form, almost like being born a second time. It wasn't like this for me, but my father-in-law says it's excruciatingly painful and lasts for a few hours. She looked up at him with watery eyes. You could have said. She clamped down her teeth and tried not to scream. Sorry, he gave her an embarrassed grin which did nothing to help. I could knock you out if. Yes, please. Nodding, he brought a fist down on the back of her head and mercifully rendered her unconscious. XXXXXXXXXXX. When he returned home there was loud laughter coming from the parlor. He decided to take the unconscious Tayuya upstairs to one of the empty bedrooms before going to join everyone else. When he came back downstairs he walked in on a very merry scene. There seated on a couch was the fearsome Lord Akashia. He had Kushina on his lap and was playing peekaboo with her to their mutual delight. The vampire elder adored his little granddaughter. On another couch Mai and Mocha were chatting over some tomato juice. With both of them having pink hair and green eyes they looked much more like sisters than mother and daughter. Sitting on the floor was the only person with an unhappy face. Cocoa was wearing a gown that Karua had forced her into and was having her hair combed by her older sister. Karua was having a fun time playing out of torturing her little sis. The family had come by to help him celebrate his 21st birthday tomorrow. Kushina was the very first person to notice his arrival and jumped off her grandfather's lap to run over to him. Daddy! She cried excitedly and held out her arms to him. There's my little princess. He scooped her up and planted kisses on her face as she giggled. Daddy, Daddy, are we having cake and juice tomorrow? She asked excitedly. She didn't quite have the concept of birthdays down yet, but she knew she liked cake and tomato juice. We sure are, honey, as much as you want. Yeah, she said happily. Did everything go all right? Mocha asked. It went fine, Naruto told her. He gave his daughter one more kiss and set her down so she could run back over to play some more with Granddad. She was in a lot of pain though, so I knocked her out. She's sleeping upstairs right now. The pain is normal, Mai assured. She should be fine and feeling pretty ravenous come the morning. Make sure to have plenty of transfusion packs on hand. Naruto nodded. Already set, she'll even get to celebrate with us tomorrow. You are much too generous with your servants, Lord Akashia said as he bounced his granddaughter on his knee. Rewarding her like that after just a few years of service. He shook his head. Now dear, be kind, Mai said disapprovingly. She is his servant after all and he can reward her as he sees fit. She did risk her life for me. If anyone had found out she was my spy she would have been TD and executed. Naruto said. Karua looked up from combing her little sister's hair. Nisan, she called out. Will there be dancing at the party tomorrow? Ah, not really, it's just a little get-together. It's not that sort of party. Naruto said and rubbed the back of his head. Karua frowned and pouted a bit. I'm disappointed. I wish Daddy had eaten you and sister had married the other one. Other one. Kushina looked curiously at her aunt. It's nothing, Mai said pleasantly and gave Karua a warning look. Mocha sent her a look that was openly hostile. Well, maybe Nisan's not too bad. She went back to combing Cocoa's hair. Naruto took it all in stride. Having not grown up with a family, he found dealing with the various family dynamics interesting. He sat down on the couch next to his wife and relaxed. XXXXXXXXXX. That night he was in his study, again rereading the book. The two ninjas stood atop the Tower of the Sun, the highest building in the village hidden within the sunlight. The two of them were reunited once more, and for the final time. Jibo, hero of his village and ninja of legend, he was weary and heartsick now. He had begun to really look like an old man, and that was what he felt like. Standing across from him was his Nakira, his godson and the container of the nine-tailed wolf demon. A fearsome young ninja just coming into his prime and radiating the massive power of the demon he contained. It broke Jibo's heart to see the rage and hatred there in Nakira's eyes. He should have been the village's greatest hero. He should have been following in his father's footsteps. But now instead he was following the path of the demon. He had come here not as the village's protector but as its destroyer. Nakira smiled cruelly at the old ninja. Aren't you going to try and kill me, godfather? No, Nakira, Jibo said sadly. I don't want to kill you. You tried to last time, Nakira reminded him. You left me no choice. And you don't have one now either. That was when Jibo did something that took the younger ninja by surprise. He knelt down and bowed his head. Nakira, please forgive me. Forgive you? Nakira echoed in disbelief. Is this some kind of joke, old man? It's no joke, godson, Jibo said, his heart breaking. Don't you think I know how I failed you? Don't you think I've spent every day since our last meeting thinking about all the things that I did wrong and all the ways I caused you harm? If there were anything I could possibly do to make it up to you, I would. Fine, Nakira said angrily. Push back time to the day I was born and do what you promised you would. Stay in the village to raise me, or take me away with you, but don't abandon me. Make me your son and treat me the way a father would. Isn't that what you promised my father you would do when you became my godfather? Why did you even become my godfather in the first place? Because your father wanted me to and I was too honored to say no. Jibo confessed. Please understand, Nakira, I never once imagined your parents might both s. Your mother was a powerful ninja, and your father was a legend even greater than I was. When I became your godfather, I imagined going to your birthdays and taking you on TSS with me and becoming your sensei one day. Try and understand that after that terrible night when your parents SD, my heart was torn out of me. He really was like my son. I knew what my duty to him and to you was, but it was more than I could bear. So I ran away. Nakira stared at him. If you'd run away for a week or a month or even a year, it wouldn't have mattered. You could have come back. You could have taken time to heal your heart and then returned. I spent 8 years being TD and abused. The villagers never would have treated me that way if they'd known I was the great Jibo's son. You could have come back for me, but you never did. I know that. Jibo hung his head in shame. Just as I know I betrayed your trust when I placed that second seal on you. Orders or not, I should never have agreed to do that. You're right, I never did come back for you. When we met, it was because I was on a mission. If I'd been half the man I should have been, I'd have come for you. But in the end, I was too much of a coward. I could face death and battle, but the idea of being responsible for a child frightened me. I suppose that in my heart I have always been a child myself. I never wanted the responsibility, and so I ran. Forgive me, Nakira, please forgive me. Nakira stared at him, and for that one moment everything seemed to hang in the balance. The possibility of forgiveness and of peace seemed within reach. Too late, he whispered. Then in a louder voice as he gathered the full might that was his, filling the air with red chakra. Too late, too late, too late, too thing late. He screamed. Flames danced all around him as he transformed from a handsome young man into a demon. I will never forgive you. With those words he sent a stream of fire down onto his godfather and former sensei. Jibo made no effort to dodge or run. He shut his eyes and accepted his godson's condemnation. With his godfather Ked, he looked down upon the village that had hated and hurt him. He could have been their champion, the greatest hero. But their hatred had made him their enemy instead. Without hesitation he brought the fire down upon them. He unleashed it on ninja and civilian, on adult and child, on guilty and innocent. King 'em all, and turning the proud village into a vast funeral pyre. Thus did the great ninja village perish. The end. Naruto had read that part 100 times at least. It disturbed him because he could see himself saying those exact words and taking those same actions. Reading Jiraiya's words made him wonder about his decision. When Mocha walked into the study, she found him sitting there behind his desk, brooding and staring down at the book. It's after midnight, she told him in a sultry voice. Happy birthday, my beloved. She was wearing a long satin nightgown that covered most of her body but showed off her curves nicely. She sauntered over to him and began to massage his shoulders. Come to bed, and I'll give you your present, she whispered in his ear. He nodded and stood. That sounds a lot better than staying down here. He slipped his arms around her waist and gave her a welcome kiss. I love you. She smiled and gave him a nice slow kiss of her own. And I love you, let's go upstairs. She took his hand and led the way. XXXXXXXXXXX. October 10th. I'll come back on my birthday to finish it. For Hiyashi, those few words had hung over his head like a pall for the last 3 years. It was like a sentence of death that was commuted each year at the last moment. Though he had never shared that message with anyone else, he was far from the only one feeling anxious today. For many years, October 10th had been a day of wild celebration as the village commemorated the Yondaim's heroic victory over the Kyuubi. But since the night of Naruto's bloody departure, the people of the village had tried very hard to pretend the Kyuubi, and the Kyuubi's container had never existed. Officially, October 10th was no longer a holiday. Unofficially, many people still treated it as a special day. But rather than a day for feasting and fireworks, it had instead become a day of solemn mourning and prayer. Many of the older generation would spend this day fasting and making offerings in the various shrines, as though prayers could protect the village from the Kyuubi's wrath. Hiyashi had no faith in prayers. He was a ninja, his faith was in kunai and in jutsus. Since the day of Naruto's departure, he'd had his agents scouring the entire world searching for any clue to his whereabouts. He'd offered a 10 million rue reward for any information that led to Naruto. But all he'd come up with in the last 3 years had been a long series of false leads. So far as they could tell, Naruto had simply disappeared from the face of the earth. Hiyashi had even tried to contact the mysterious headmaster in hopes getting some information. Unfortunately, the headmaster had severed all ties with the ninja world. And Hiyashi had no other connections to the realm of monsters. Wherever Naruto was, in this world or some other, he remained too well hidden to be found. So all that was left to him was to attend to his usual duties today with calm dignity and wait to see if the death sentence would be carried out or delayed for 1 more year. His duty demanded that he be present in Konoha, but he had sent his 2 daughters far away to safety. Whatever happened to him, his daughters and his clan would survive. The door to his office opened and a familiar face entered. He nodded politely. Good morning, Hokage-sama, Jiraiya said. The Hokage looked up from his endless stack of paperwork and frowned. Since that wretched book had come out, he'd had to deal with even more anxiety and worry from the villagers. There were also a handful of idiots who went around ming that the village was cursed and doomed. Thousands of people had simply left and moved away. If the trend continued, the ninja of the village would begin to suffer from lack of support services. Ninja were still people, they did not want to live somewhere without restaurants or shops or bath houses. It was just one more headache that he did not need. What do you want, Jiraiya? Hiyashi asked curtly. Though he had little use for the Sannin, the ninja and common folk still loved and admired him. Privately, Hiyashi blamed Jiraiya for the current predicament. The seal he'd placed on Naruto had failed. Had it been competently made, Naruto would be now and the village prospering. Jiraiya wasted no words. I think we should evacuate the village, he said quietly. Hiyashi stopped looking at his papers and turned his full attention to Jiraiya. Evacuate the village. Do you have any idea the sort of panic that would cause? Do you know how many civilians would leave permanently? Why are you even suggesting this? Because Naruto will return today. He answered simply. Why do you say that? Hiyashi demanded. Hiyashi had never told Jiraiya about the note. Was it possible Naruto had sent him a similar message as well? What information do you have that leads you to that conclusion? I don't have any information, Jiraiya admitted. It's just a feeling I have. A feeling? Hiyashi repeated contemptuously. You want me to evacuate the entire village and cause panic because you have a feeling? If you don't like that word, you can use estimated guess instead. I know Naruto better than anyone else here, and I know what he's capable of. I think it very possible that he has achieved the 9-tail state by now. And if he has, I can't imagine a better day for his return than today. Do you have any evidence at all to support this suspicion of yours? Jiraiya could only shake his head. Then I am not about to order an evacuation simply on the possibility something might happen today. Hiashi smiled thinly. If you wish to, however, you have my blessing to leave the village for as long as you like. Jiraiya looked down at the seated Hiashi. I'm not going anywhere, and so we're clear on this, I don't need your permission to leave or enter Konoha. He shook his head wearily. You know, on the chance this really is my last day, I want you to know you are a damn poor Hokage. Minato and Sarutobi were both much better men than you, and they truly cared for the people of this village. If I'd known what a piss poor Hokage you would be, I'd have taken the job when it was offered to me. Hiashi sent the man a furious glare. Get out. Grinning, he performed an exaggerated bow. Hi Hokage-sama. He then walked out, deliberately slamming the door behind him. Hiashi stared out the window for a moment. He would never admit it, but Jiraiya's words had badly shaken him. He truly wondered if today would be the day the death sentence was finally carried out. But even if he felt fear, he would not show any. He returned to his paperwork. He was not about to order an evacuation and give in to doubt. XXXXXXXXXXX. He was dressed in his black ninja outfit. This would be the last time he would ever wear it. Oh, he would still have battles in his future, and times when he would have to protect the ones he loved or the ones he was responsible for. But in those future battles he would be acting as headmaster or as great lord of the Yukai Kitsune. He would fight as father, or as husband, as brother, or as son. But for today, for one final time, he would be ninja. His heart was filled with hatred and the need for revenge. Jiraiya's words had touched him, and he had really thought about them and about what he meant to do. But in the end he found he could not turn away from this path. He could just not forgive them. What had finally decided him was a single memory from his 8th birthday. What a nameless stranger had said to him just before he dropped the match that had lit him on fire. You deserve this. The man had just been another in a crowd. Naruto knew the man's face but had never known his name, and had never tried to learn it. It didn't matter who he was as an individual. What mattered was that he represented the attitudes and desires of the village as a whole. The village had hated him. The village had TD him. The village had tried to M him as a helpless child. And the village had never changed its feelings or even asked forgiveness. Unlike with his godfather, the village had never apologized or even changed its mind about him. The hatred had always been there. The abuse had only stopped due to fear. There had never been an ounce of regret or any admission that they had done wrong by making him suffer all those years. So as far as he was concerned, the whole damn village was guilty and the whole damn village was going to pay for it. And if that meant some innocents had to rest along with the guilty, so be it. The wrongs done to him could not be forgiven or allowed to go unpunished. From behind, his darling wife put her arms around his shoulders and placed gentle kisses on his chin. Remember, dear, Kushina wants to start having cake by noon and she wants her daddy here for that. Please don't be late. She turned his face so they were eye to eye. Do what you need to, my beloved. Avenge the wrongs done to you and destroy those who are your enemies. But when you are done, come home to the family that loves you and needs you. He smiled at her and kissed her. How did she always know exactly the right thing to say to him? I will, Mocha-chan. I'll always come home to you and my little princess. XXXXXXXXXX. A couple miles into the woods, 100 Yukai Kitsune waited for him. Every one of them with at least 2 tails, and every one of them was a willing volunteer. As a unit they could easily fight and defeat whole armies. At his approach they all fell upon their knees and cast their eyes to the ground. My lord, Kuyu intoned. The bodyguard division stands ready. Does everyone understand their orders? Naruto asked seriously. We do, lord, Kuyu assured him. None will be permitted to escape. No one caught inside will escape, Naruto clarified. Let anyone who ends up outside the net go. I want a few survivors to tell the tale. I want the world to know what happens today. Yes, my lord, Kuyu answered. Naruto smiled. He was in vampiric form and his fangs were out. Well then, let's begin operation, because they deserve it. Naruto vanished in a burst of black fire. Throughout the area 100 circles of white light appeared and then blinked out. XXXXXXXXXX. Naruto appeared atop the Hokage Tower and immediately surrounded himself with a red chakra cloak with 5 tails. Outside the village walls and along the base of the cliff 100 Yukai Kitsune appeared literally out of thin air. Even as guards along the wall began to shout out in alarm, they worked their magic. A massive dome of gold energy rose up and surrounded the entire village. Except for the handful of people on the road or within the cliff shelters, everyone in Konoha was now trapped. Standing atop the roof, Naruto nodded, satisfied that no one could escape now. At least not without his permission. Since Ayami and her father had left long ago, there were only two people he was willing to spare. Hinata was one, but her father had already taken care of that. Naruto had mixed feelings about that. On the one hand, he found it pathetic that the Hokage would keep the contents of his message secret but use the knowledge to protect his family. On the other hand, as a father, he could appreciate the importance of protecting a daughter no matter what. That left only one other person. Naruto waited patiently as he was sure he would come to face him. 5 tails was only a fraction of what he could bring, but was more than enough to announce his presence to every ninja in the village. Sure enough, less than 30 seconds after arrival, there was a swirl of wind and leaves. Naruto nodded to him respectfully. "Hello, Godfather." "Hello, Naruto," Jiraiya said solemnly. "I read your book," Naruto told him. "It's actually a great read, especially the end." "I'm glad that you at least read it," Jiraiya said. "I have one question about it though," Naruto said. "Why did you have it end that way? Don't most books usually have a happy ending?" "I've always believed in trying to tell honest stories, Naruto," Jiraiya explained. "The characters may be larger than life and the situations extreme. But I always try to make the characters be true to themselves. When I came to it, I just couldn't imagine any other way for it to end." "Huh. To be honest, I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or not. But you were off about one thing, Godfather." Naruto paused. "I forgive you." "You do?" Jiraiya said in surprise. "Yes, I do. I can forgive you because I honestly believe you are sorry for what you did to me. You can go. My servants will open a hole in the dome for you." "I can go. What about the village?" Naruto frowned. "That part of your book was on. I haven't come here for tea. This is the day I settle all accounts." "But Naruto, if you can forgive me, why not them? Most of the people living here have never done anything to you." "So what?" Naruto demanded. "Do I look like a damn accountant to you? Do you think I'm going to go door to door and figure who's guilty and who's not? The whole village TD me so the whole village can pay. That's not justice, Naruto, that's nothing but pure revenge." Naruto laughed. "Don't try and play high and mighty with me, Godfather. I was in sooner, remember. Just what the hell would you call the M there? Are you going to try and tell me that S was justice but this one is not? Call them both justice or call them both revenge, it comes down to the same thing. When you get the chance, you destroy the enemy completely, you take it. You don't let worries about innocence get in the way. Yeah, I may be bloodthirsty, but let's not pretend the Hokage and the village were any different." Jiraiya looked distraught and nodded painfully. "I can't deny what you've said, Naruto. We had the chance to do the right thing in sooner, but instead we took the easy path. When we've had the chance, we haven't shown much mercy." He spoke slowly and with great sadness. "Maybe this is divine retribution for what we've done to others." Naruto couldn't help but laugh. "Wouldn't that make me an agent of Kami? I don't think anyone would put me on that side of things. Anyway, since we both agree the village is getting what it deserves, why don't you go while you have the chance?" But to Naruto's disappointment, Jiraiya shook his head. "Even if it might be deserved, in the end I am still a leaf nin. I cannot abandon my village. If Konoha is to be destroyed, I would choose to S with those I am sworn to protect." Naruto looked at him. He really is a ninja. Even if he is perverted and silly at times, he really is a ninja. "Is that your final decision, Godfather?" Naruto asked quietly. "It is," Jiraiya said stoutly. Slowly Naruto nodded. He was actually surprised at how strongly he suddenly cared. This was the end for the gallant Jiraiya. "Very well, I will respect your decision, Godfather." The time had finally come. He opened himself up and let all the power flow into him. Goodbye. He transformed into his final 9-tail form. As his body turned to living fire and began to expand, the entire tower was crushed beneath him. Jiraiya made no effort to escape. Within his office, Hiashi met his end with dignity as the world literally crashed down upon him. Just before his death, he wished his daughters happiness and long life. When the transformation was complete, a massive nine-tailed fox composed of living flames stood towering above the village. The Hokage tower lay crushed to rubble beneath a single paw. The nine-tailed fox could hear the maddening roar of thousands of screams rising into the air. From every direction the brave ninja of Konoha launched themselves at him in a mad rush. Dimly he picked out the sound of birds chirping, cries about the springtime of youth, a couple shadows merged with his to no effect. Someone actually tried to take over his mind, and it felt like a tiny annoying voice somewhere in the background. Genjutsus were cast and he was struck by all sorts of weapons and explosive tags. He was hit by multiple jutsus using lightning, water, wind, earth, and even fire. He shrugged off the combined might of Konoha's ninja as a lion might have shrugged off a few flea bites. This was why he'd waited until he'd had 9 tails. No ninjutsu and no weapon could harm him. He opened his mouth and spoke. People of Konoha, his monstrous voice crashed down on them. Know that I am not Kyuubi or any other demon. I am Uzumaki Naruto, son of Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. I was born in this village and would have been your willing servant and protector. But your own hatred towards me would never allow that. If I am your enemy, it is because you chose to make me that. I am certain you see me as a monster. Know then that to my eyes the people of this village are the true monsters. When I was a helpless child, the people of this village tried to burn me alive. It was a crime committed by this village against me, a crime that was never punished. But today there will be punishment. He slapped his head back and opened wide his jaws. You deserve this. And out of his mouth poured a river of white fire. It filled the streets and consumed everything it touched. Ninja and villagers SD instantly. Steel and glass melted while stone cracked apart and tuned to dust. The fire poured and poured and poured out of him until the entire space beneath the gold dome was engulfed in it. When he finally finished, there was nothing left of the village, not even rubble. There was nothing but square miles of blackened earth. The Hokage monument was left mostly intact. The faces of the first 4 Hokages remained, but where the 5th one would have been there were only claw marks. Thus did the great ninja village perish. The end. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.